Over the years, parts of our country have seen a lot of changes. In some places, rural agricultural settings have evolved into more urban scenes. The growth of industry has brought a change in the pace of the population and a change in the face of its people. Drawn to the promise of abundant jobs and a better way of life, immigrants are coming to areas of the country that have been culturally uniform in the past. In other words, longtime residents are seeing and hearing strange sights and sounds in their formerly familiar settings. In these areas, the recent influx of newcomers has given rise to frustrations and misunderstandings that are myths and have little basis in fact. Let's address some of the myths centered on newcomers of Hispanic origins, the most frequent targets of frustration and misconception.
Hispanics who move into this area have no interest in learning English. They only care about things that come from their culture.
Because so many of us in the Lutheran Church are of an immigrant heritage, I've lifted up more than once the fact that what's happening here in Rogers is no different than what happened with their parents or grandparents 50 or 75 or 100 years ago. My own parents both came from Norway. My mother came when she was 5 years old. She came in 1918 with her mother and a sister. My grandmother, they moved to Brooklyn. My grandmother never learned to speak English. I never understood 10 words she ever said to me. The people of Northwest Arkansas, when they think about the immigrant past of our country, and indeed many of them their own immigrant past, that they will welcome these new folks into our community with open arms, understanding that it may take a generation for people to learn the language, especially the older folks who, like my grandmother, probably will not learn. Their children will be bilingual the way my mother is bilingual and my dad is bilingual. And that we have to give whoever comes to our country, give them a generation to make the necessary kinds of adjustments in their own life and values and style. And in time, they will be, even as they already are, fine citizens of our country. Americans are not always people with a long historical perspective. We think that history started with us. But if you look back, almost all of us came from someplace else.
All Hispanics send most of their money back to Mexico. None of them want to live here permanently.
My job regarding the Hispanic community is to bring them up to speed with the American financial world, those things that you and I take for granted. Over the last 2 years, we have helped over 200 families buy homes here in Northwest Arkansas, which is a huge success for those particular families. But for the local area, of course, as homeowners, they are now permanent residents of our community, increasing our tax base and continuing to contribute to the school systems and our tax base here locally. So they are here to become a part of this community, and they're contributing financially to the community.
All of these Hispanics coming into town will cause the criminal activity to increase. Gangs will be everywhere.
There was a belief that there was going to be a lot of major crime type problems, but that hasn't been the case at all. For the most part, they mind their own business and do their jobs. They work hard, I understand. There have been some concerns expressed, and a lot of it was probably dispelled over a period of time, having to do with thinking that crime rate would go up and that there would be other problems. But I think a lot of that was out of fear and just not knowing. But like I said, time has seemed to have answered a lot of questions, and I think these people are like people anywhere in the world, where you just do the best you can. You're always trying to improve yourself and your life for your family. Seems like an honorable goal to me.
I think they think that because people came from California and Los Angeles, they think that all the people that came from Mexico and everywhere, Hispanics, they're bad because of them. And we have problems with that. They think that we're cholos or something like that. and that it isn't our fault. If for them, we all get in trouble.
First, I wanted to learn English, and then I wanted to go to college or something to get a better opportunity of job, to work somewhere that I like to work, or something that I want to do.
These people will come in and drain our Social Security system. I mean, it's in trouble already.
I think one of the biggest myths that I run into in this state about Social Security is that people think that the immigrants are coming here from other countries and immediately filing for Social Security benefits and therefore draining our Social Security trust funds. It is true that for Social Security, you do not have to be a citizen to qualify for benefits. The determining factor is whether or not you pay taxes. And if they have paid taxes just like everyone else, then they can receive benefits under the same requirements that a citizen would. However, for instance, for a retirement benefit, that requires that you have worked and paid into the Social Security system a minimum of 10 years. And most of the immigrants who are coming here with temporary work permits do not stay in the United States that long. So if anything, rather than draining our Social Security trust funds, the immigrant workers in this area are subsidizing that for the rest of us.
Hispanics use up the resources of our private charities and they never give anything back.
The community itself, again, is a very good, caring community, and the people in it, no matter what the culture, are very good, caring people, and that's proven by the amount of money that has been increased in United Way. Every year we give out what we call President's Awards. This year, one of the industries that employ Hispanics, a lot of the Hispanics received that President's Award. And they received it because the increase over last year was 533%. How do you argue that? And that was given by the Hispanic community. And that was just one industry. We need not draw lines between anything, whether giving or using of services, as long as they're needed. And I believe that the Hispanic population and newcomers who have moved into this area have become a part of this community. And we should be thankful for that.
Hispanics coming into this country are usually criminals running away from their home country police. They're the dregs of their society with nothing to offer our communities.
As either economic or political upheaval occurs in any country, the unmotivated on that end of the spectrum just don't have the courage or the energy to be able to migrate. So what I see, the immigration that is occurring here in Northwest Arkansas, they represent the upper echelon of that motivation scale in Hispanic countries. They are the ones who have got the courage and the stamina and the vision to sacrifice themselves against virtually all odds. Language, transportation, geography, cultural customs. So what I'm seeing arriving here are the extremely motivated, that upper quadrant of those people, and we're, quite frankly, in my opinion, getting the cream of the crop that those countries have got to offer.
What's happening across the country is just a continuation of the American cycle. Once again, life is changing. With change comes adjustment. After adjustment comes understanding. It is hoped that as more people gain understanding of what is happening, these myths and others like them will be recognized for what they are and will dissolve away only to become a footnote in the American story.
Northwest Arkansas is known for its natural beauty, its strong economy, and its friendly people. Each year, the area attracts thousands of visitors and new residents. Retirees, students, professionals, and families are among those moving here to seek a better life. In recent years, more and more of these newcomers represent diverse cultural backgrounds from Latin America, Asia, the Pacific Islands, and elsewhere. This population growth presents challenges for us all. Towns are expanding, new businesses are opening, and as immigrants arrive, cultural differences between old and new residents can become cultural clashes, particularly when a language barrier exists. However, this growth also brings many opportunities as our economy is strengthened and our common culture enriched. Let us show you how old and new Northwest Arkansas residents have come together to turn challenges into opportunities. Montagnais Village is one of many new subdivisions in the fast-growing city of Rogers. These single-family homes attracted a mix of buyers, young couples and retirees, longtime residents and newcomers, Anglos and Hispanics. The new neighbors seemed to get along well for a time, but misunderstandings stemming from cultural differences and compounded by a language barrier soon threatened to split the neighborhood apart. Anglo residents took their grievances to the city council and then called a Montagnais homeowners meeting. Emotions ran high.
There was anger that night. This one man got up and says, if you can't speak the language, go back, get out of our country.
In spite of having been verbally attacked at the first meeting, several Hispanic residents attended a second homeowners meeting a short time later. This time, Roland Goicochea, a Rogers banker, was brought in to interpret.
My purpose at those meetings were to translate for the Hispanics who could not communicate in English. And at this point in the meeting, there's a young man by the name of Jaime Negrete who asked me to translate this for him, and these are his exact words.
I ask all of my American neighbors on behalf of the Hispanics to teach us the rules of your country. We're brand new to this country. We don't know what the rules and regulations are. We just need a little bit more time. Teach me your rules, and I'll teach my Hispanic neighbors.
Hostility soon gave way to understanding.
It about broke our heart because thinking of the way that people were treating him, but he just really didn't understand. And Roland helped us and translated and explained to us what we weren't understanding.
It was at that moment that the Montagnais Village neighborhood changed, in my opinion. You could see that all of the tension, particularly the racial tension, with a sincere statement like that just melted away, and they began to realize that these weren't people to be feared. These were people whose heart were in the right place, and they were really trying to be the best neighbors that they could.
There's been a depth of understanding of the two cultures that simply wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for someone like Roland, and really the strong desire among the Hispanic families living out there that they wanted to be a part of the community, but really didn't know what was expected of them.
What I want for the future is to be able to raise my daughters and my family without crime in my neighborhood, without drugs, without problems. And that's why I think we have such a great neighborhood, and that we're working together to make that happen and make it a safe neighborhood for our families.
The most important thing that I've learned personally is that even though our cultures are, I don't know, I'm not going to say very different, but even though they're different, I think they're the same.
Me and my dog walk every day, and it's beautiful. You go by, honk and wave, you know, where before I walked every day since I've been here almost. They didn't. So it's made it a happier place to live.
When adults have misperceptions about other cultures, they often pass them along to their children. As children grow older, these misconceptions become ingrained, and when compounded by the complexities of adolescence, this can spell trouble. During the last several years, the student body of Rogers High School has become more diverse and includes young people from many different backgrounds. Some students resented the newcomers and were suspicious of their different customs and strange-sounding words. The principal problem, again, was communication. Tension grew on campus as some individuals acted on their fear and hostility through confrontations and graffiti. Rogers High School administration and staff didn't wait for a major incident to occur.
We wanted to take a proactive stand. We didn't want to wait for there to be problems. So we sought out and recruited a person who could be a liaison.
Alvin Lopez, also known as Papa Rap, was hired to defuse the situation and bring the different factions together.
One of I think the most important things that we did in the beginning when we got here is we sat these kids together. And we were a whole morning there, just, like a powwow.
I think that was what was needed at that time, and that's what Alvin has done for us, just getting everybody together and really get to know each other, not really looking at our colors of skin or types of clothes we wear, but what we really are inside of us.
We just needed for these kids to communicate between themselves, and what they did eventually, what they ended up just was giving each other space, respecting each other.
Alvin used his talents to open the students' minds to new ways of thinking. He carried his musical message about friendship and respect into the classrooms. Then he began the Multicultural Club, whose membership included foreign exchange students, Hispanics, Anglos, any teens who wanted to take part. Using music to communicate their message, Lopez and the Multicultural Club encouraged young people to appreciate their similarities instead of focusing on their differences.
Hey everybody, this is Papa Rap, and today I want to talk to you about the multicultural changes in Northwest Arkansas. There's a lot of talk about gangs, violence, and tension, but let's talk about the facts. This is Saul. He likes cool cars, cute girls, and a chance for a good future. And this is Sam. He likes cool cars, cute girls, and a chance for a good future too. Their uniforms are different, but they're not. Only people without friends join gangs. Let's be friends. Seamos amigos.
They all have the same problems. So my message to them was, well, we gotta get rid of this racial thing that a few people are talking about, and really get into the important things, which is, your education.
We're seeing more students involved in the extracurricular activities. We're seeing students who might have had some discipline problems and behavior problems because someone is showing that they care and that they're interested in that child, turn around and become active parts of the school community.
None of us are born with prejudices. A visit to any local elementary school will prove that. The younger the child, the more likely he or she will look past color and language differences. When they are encouraged to do so by their teachers, the result is a school like Elmdale Elementary in Springdale, where adults and students alike learn from one another. About 16% of Elmdale students come from non-English speaking homes. They include Hispanics, Laotians, Thais, and others. When these students began to enroll, the school had no resources to help teachers communicate with the children or their parents. Even with the addition of an English as a second language or ESL instructor, the challenge of integrating them into the classroom was daunting.
I didn't know English, and I was afraid that nobody was going to talk to me. I was going to feel lonely.
When I arrived here, I had American friends who spoke to me in English, but I did not know what to say except to smile and say yes.
The administration and staff at Elmdale were determined to meet the challenge. Dedicated to the premise that children must be taught at their individual levels, teachers modified lessons, enlisted volunteer help, and worked closely with the ESL instructor in order to meet the educational and social needs of all the children.
Our whole program is based on the fact that we meet the needs of children, and if when we see needs, then we will make adjustments to meet those needs.
The first need being we want them to feel like they belong. They're part of us.
They treated me equal, like if I was one of them. Like if I knew English, they shared things with me, they played with me, and that's what I liked about this school, is that all the years I've been here, that's the way they've been.
When I was in 3rd grade, I was kind of partnered with a Mexican student who was in here before me. And I helped her learn her English and everything, and it was really fun. It was a great cultural experience for me.
We had a talent show where they danced for us, and we helped them with their work and helped them to try to understand more about English.
And I think it's important as our world grows smaller that our students are more diverse and that their thinking is more diverse, because as they grow older, it's going to be important because they're not going to deal with just Arkansas or Springdale, but they're going to have to deal with the whole world.
I think that you should treat different people of different races the same as you would want to be treated.
We're at Elmdale to teach all kids. It doesn't matter who they are, what color they are, or what their academic progress is. We are all, my class and I, we learn about each other and how to deal with everybody in the community. And the best way to do that is just throw us all together and we can all learn from each other.
The Northwest Arkansas business community is doing its part to turn challenges into opportunities. Newcomers to the area have joined longtime residents to fill industry's need for a stable workforce. But many are hampered by limited English skills. Firms such as Tyson Foods, Kinnear Company, Rockline Midwest, and others have found it pays to invest in their employees' education. Other immigrants have joined the business community by opening their own firms, lending richness and variety to commerce in our neighborhoods. Over the last few years, Kinnear experienced a need to expand their workforce. The company began to hire new residents, principally of Laotian origin. Recognizing the need for better communication among its workers, Kinnear joined with NTI, Northwest Technical Institute, to provide English as a second language classes for its employees.
We're very fortunate that we had a high level of teachers coming from NTI, and we also wanted to make sure that it was a very positive program. Therefore, to make it a positive program and get the most out of it, we have compensated our people to attend ESL class.
For a lot of my students, this is the very first opportunity that they've had since they've come to the United States to study English. Because when you come across and you have nothing, then you just can't take the time to go to a class and study. I mean, you're always working. You just have so much to do to support your family and to make it. And so a lot of my students have told me they're so grateful for the opportunity to be able to study English at Kinnear because it's the first time they've ever been able to.
The Thai and the Laotians especially have brought with them to Kinnear a work ethic that we're very high on. It is a very successful partnership.
New Niravan, a refugee from Laos, has been with Kinnear over 10 years. He now gives back to his adopted community by helping others.
I translate for Springdale School District whenever they want and whenever they want. You know, I go to house to translate. I translate all forms and books for school, and I translate in a courthouse, in Washington County Courthouse, Benton County Courthouse, and I even translate in Memphis, in immigration office over there, just to help people out.
Anja Katzang recently came to Northwest Arkansas from the Marshall Islands. Like other parents, Anja places great importance on his children's education.
That's why I brought them all here and they are in school here. I work hard and raise them up, do that, to look for the like future. You know, my future is on them.
Some longtime residents of Northwest Arkansas find it hard to understand why so many people have come to live in a place thousands of miles from their home, especially when they don't speak the language.
The biggest thing is for job opportunity, because in Northwest Arkansas there are lots of factories that hire people, you know, and they don't even care you have education or not, as long as you be able to understand or communicate a little bit.
I was eager to come here and bring my children here and to learn more about some other places other than staying in Marshall Island for the rest of my life.
More than anything, when someone leaves Mexico for the U.S., he comes in search of prosperity, of support for his children, because the economic situation in Mexico has become difficult. So, we pull ourselves away and come here to look for a better life for all of our families. And by working hard, we manage to save a little to send to them. And everybody says the same thing. Except for a few troublemakers, the majority of people who come from Mexico come to work to help their families and to help themselves.
Some immigrants bring more than their belongings to the area. They bring the dream of owning their own business. Melington Montez and his family worked for many years, saving money for the day they could open their own restaurant. When that day arrived, they found the ideal location, Fayetteville, Arkansas.
And it's a great place to live, great place to have education and raise your child. Yeah, why not? And I think it's one of the best areas that I have seen that is really, really nice.
Más que todo, les pido una disculpa a las autoridades. I especially want to apologize to the authorities if we have done anything wrong. I don't think we have. Perhaps there have been some kids who have caused a little trouble, but I hope not. And if they can help us in any way, I would appreciate it very much, and we will do whatever we can to help, economically in whatever small amount we are able, and with our work to help the community of Fayetteville and all the people of the United States.
Montanay Village, Rogers High School, Elmdale Elementary, the Northwest Arkansas business community, some of the many places throughout the region where old and new residents are coming together to turn challenges into opportunities. The success of these experiences reminds us that though change may not always be easy, it can be rewarding. After all, what is happening in Northwest Arkansas today may seem like a new story, but really it's not. It has been told millions of times since the first immigrants arrived in what would become a nation of immigrants, the United States of America.